The word of faith. What is it? The word of faith. What is it? Romans chapter number 10, verse 5 through 8. For Moses describeth, I'm reading from the King James, that's why it sounds funny. For Moses describeth the righteousness which is of the law, that the man who doeth those things shall live by them. But the righteousness which is of faith speaketh on this wise, say not in thine heart, who shall ascend into heaven? That is to bring Christ down from above. It does not say who shall descend into the deep. So the word of faith does not say who shall descend into the deep. That is to bring up Christ again from the dead. But what does it say? Verse 8. The word is near thee. This is what it says. The word is near thee, even in thy mouth and in thy heart. That is the word of faith which we preach. So, Moses is describing about the two kinds of righteousness. One is the righteousness which is of the law, and the other is the righteousness which is of faith. Both righteousness is described by Moses. The righteousness, but it says the righteousness which is of the law says, if any man does them, he shall live by them. But Moses continues to say, but the righteousness which is of faith says in this wise. In other words, it says like this. But, well, what does he say? It says, do not say who shall ascend into heaven, that is to bring Christ down from above. Or it doesn't say who shall descend into the deep, that is to the deep or the abyss, who shall ascend into the deep, that is to bring up Christ again from the dead. It doesn't say like that. The word of faith does not say like that. But what does it say? It says, the word is near thee. It is in your mouth, it is in your heart. That is the word of faith. So, according to the context, the word of faith has got nothing to do with your ability to believe. The word of faith here, in this particular verse, has got nothing to do with your ability to believe. Now I understand that there is a place for your ability to believe. Suppose you have you apply your faith in order to have something in life. I'm not talking about that. I'm not saying about that at all. But you know what? If you take this particular verse and apply that as if in order for you to get healed, in order for you to get rich in this world, you don't have a right to take this verse. If you take this verse and apply faith and say, no, this word of faith means it speaks of the confession of my mouth. If you say it speaks of confession of the mouth of a believer or the mouth of anybody, so by faith I'm gonna confess that I'm gonna live a good life. I am not going to forsake. I am going to live a healthy, long life. I'm not against that. There is a place for that. But you don't have a right to take this verse and abuse it. Because this particular verse here refers to the word of faith. The word of faith means, according to the context, the word of faith speaks of the message of the faith that Moses preached. Now you might be saying that, well, Where does it say that Moses is the one who speaks, who is the one who describes this? Well, let's go to the book of Deuteronomy. Book of Deuteronomy, chapter 30, verse 11 through 14. We will read it, and I am going to read it for you. For this commandment which I command thee this day, it is not hidden from thee, neither it is far off. It is not in heaven, that thou shouldest say, who shall go up for us to heaven and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? Neither it is beyond the sea, that thou shouldest say, who shall go over the sea for us and bring it unto us, that we may hear it and do it? But the word is very near unto thee, in thy mouth and in thy heart, and that thou mayest do it. When you read Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 14, you don't see faith there. You don't see Christ there. You only see commandment, and you only see commandment. Moses says, this is the commandment which I command thee today. It is not in heaven. That commandment is not in heaven, to the point that you say, who will go for us to heaven to bring that commandment to us so that we may hear and do it? The commandment is not deep down beneath the earth, that you should say, who will descend to the deep for us to bring the commandment to us, that we may hear and do it. Moses is talking about the commandment. But when Paul reads Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 14, he doesn't say commandment, he says Christ. And he says these words actually are the words of the faith that Moses is describing. Moses actually says it's the commandment, but Paul, when he interprets this verse, he calls it the word of faith. Paul says Moses describes the righteousness which is of the law. He says anybody who does that shall live by them. But concerning the righteousness which is of faith, he says, don't say who shall go to heaven to bring Christ down from above. Don't say who shall descend into the deep, that is to bring up Christ again from the dead. It doesn't say that, but it says the word is near you. It is in your mouth, it is in your heart, and which it is in your heart and in your mouth. That is the word of faith. So Deuteronomy 30, 11 to 14 is actually the word of faith. It's not the word of the law. But when we read it, with a carnal mind, all we see is a carnal commandment that we have to do, and we have to fulfill it. We have to do it, and we have to keep. But when you read it with the spiritual eyes, you see things like Paul. You begin to see, oh yeah, I know this is actually speaking about faith. So the faith in the book of Romans, the faith that Paul is talking about has got nothing to do with your ability to believe. The word of faith there refers to the message of the faith that Moses preached in Deuteronomy 30, 11 through 14. Glory to God. Man, you don't have a right to take this verse and abuse it. The word of faith has got nothing to do with your confession of the words of faith with your mouth. No. The word of faith here refers to the message that Moses preached in Deuteronomy. Glory to God. So be cautious when you come to verses, when you come to passages like this. Hallelujah. See you next time. Until then, God bless you.